afternoon. The following video will share specific information regarding Wesclin School District's Return to Learn plans for this fall. Please note that these plans are based on the guidance and requirements of the Illinois State Board of Education, the Illinois Department of Public Health, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. In addition, the guidance regarding this pandemic is constantly changing, and this information is based on what we know today. We will continue to update you should we be required to change any of these plans. After watching the video, we are asking families to complete a survey for each school-age child so we can appropriately plan for our return to learn. We need a response from everyone. Thank you. This plan is built around the guidelines that have been directed by the Illinois Department of Health and the Illinois State Board of Education that all schools must follow. These include the following: that everyone within our buildings must wear appropriate personal protective equipment, which includes face coverings. So everyone in our buildings or on our school buses will be required to wear a face mask that covers both an individual's mouth and their nose at all times. We prohibit more than 50 individuals from gathering in any one space within our buildings. We require social distancing to be observed as much as it is possible. All schools will conduct symptom screenings and temperature checks, or we will require that individuals self-certify that they are free of symptoms before entering our school buses or entering our school buildings or on our school buses. And finally, we are required to increase school-wide cleaning and disinfection. Wesclin School District's learning plan will offer the three options. First is full-day in-person instruction, although some grade levels will have modified schedules. We will offer half-day in-person instruction for grades K through 8. Parent transportation home will be required. All subjects will not be taught if you choose the half-day in-person instruction option. Then there will be an online learning. Students that are medically unable to attend school or selected by a parent may choose an online learning option for either a quarter or semester. The needs will be prioritized within our school district. As we continue through this plan, I want to review some definitions so that we are all on the same page as we continue through this video. First, I want to cover in-person instruction, and that's where teachers and students are in the classroom together. We must be in phase 4 in the Restore Illinois plan to offer in-person instruction to all of our students at the same time. The second is online instruction, and that's where students access a program for their education through an online platform provided by the school district, and that they do not attend in-person instruction at all. This can be provided during any phase in the Restore Illinois plan. Remote instruction is teachers and students are not in the classroom together and learning remotely through digital or print activities. This would be caused by returning to phase 3 or lower in the Restore Illinois plan or by school district decision. And finally, homeschool instruction. That is, students access a program for their education through an outside source not affiliated with the school district. These students are not enrolled in the district, and the district is not responsible for the student's education, attendance, grades, or etc. Our kindergarten grade 3 schedule for full-day in-person instruction will begin at 8 a.m. in the morning and will conclude at 2:10 p.m. Students will only receive PE once a week rather than 5 days a week. Optional PE activities will be sent home with the students. Lunch will be served in the cafeteria or an overflow location following the 50-person in a space guideline. And the students will be facing forward, so the cafeteria setup will look a little bit different. And the students will only be permitted to sit with members of their class. Music class will be in the classroom rather than in a music room. Parents will be asked to drop their student off between 7:45 and 7:50 as the students will report directly to their classrooms. Of course, if they're eating breakfast, students can arrive at 7:30, or if parents have a work requirement and students need to be dropped off sooner, that is absolutely fine. But if possible, we are encouraging that students are dropped off between 7:45 and 7:50. PALs will be offered beginning at 6:30 in the morning and again at the end of the day from 2:10 to 6 p.m. The kindergarten through grade 3 half-day in-person instruction would begin at 8 a.m. in the morning and would conclude at lunchtime. So families would be required to pick up their child prior to lunchtime. Students will receive math and their core reading instruction, but they will not receive any additional reading instruction, science, social studies, PE, intervention, or music instruction. Worksheets and projects that are given in the afternoon will be shared with each student. However, specific teacher instruction will not be provided. and students will not receive grades for the classes or the activities in the afternoon. Again, parents will be required to pick up the students at lunchtime. And a commitment for a half-day in-person instruction will be required for the entire quarter. If we return to full remote learning, students can participate in the full day of learning. Grade 4 and Grade 5 schedule for a full day in-person instruction is where the school day would begin at 8:15 and would conclude at 3:03. Lunch will be served in the cafeteria, the gymnasium, or an overflow location following the 50% in a space guidelines. Students, again, will only sit with members of their class. Students will not switch classes throughout the day, but the teachers will switch classes. Parents will be asked to drop their students off between 7:50 to 7:55 as they're required to report directly to their classrooms. If they're eating breakfast, they can arrive at 7:40. However, we are aware that some parents may need to go to work and some of the students will need to be dropped off at 7:30. But again, if possible, we are asking that students are not dropped off until 7:50 or 7:55. Lockers will be assigned as in previous years, but access to them will be limited. The Grade 4 and Grade 5 half-day in-person instruction would begin at 8:15 in the morning and would conclude prior to lunchtime, and parents or families would be required to pick up the students prior to lunch. Students will receive their math and core reading instruction, but they will not receive any additional reading instruction, science, social studies, possibly PE, intervention, or music instruction. Any worksheets or projects that are given will be shared with each student. However, teacher instruction on those activities that were taught in the afternoon will not be provided to the students who go home prior to lunch, and students will not receive grades in these classes. Again, parents will be required to pick up the students at lunchtime, and a commitment to have a half-day in-person instruction will be made for the entire quarter. The kindergarten through grade 5 online instruction will be a completely self-paced program. The students' program will be completely online and virtual, and they would not be taught by a Wesclin faculty member or interact with Wesclin students that are attending the in-person instruction. They will have a daily 45-minute virtual session with a Wesclin remote instructor and may interact with other students that are receiving remote instruction. And this person will answer any questions and provide assistance. Otherwise, the Wesclin remote instructor will be available by email. The students at home will need a learning guide to assist in navigating the program. This learning guide would be a parent or a grandparent, a caregiver that can assist the student in navigating the program, and depending on the student's age, they may require more or less assistance. A commitment for online instruction will be required for the entire quarter. And should the entire district go to remote learning, they must remain in the online instruction for the entire quarter. The grade 6 through grade 8 full day in-person instruction schedule looks as the following. Students in grade 7 and grade 8 will begin at 8:15 and will conclude at 3:03. Students at grade 6 will begin at 8:15 and end at 2:16. The grade 6 students will not have an elective at the end of the day, and band and chorus will be incorporated throughout the school day between the times of 8:15 and 2:16. Because of the 50-person per space limit, band and chorus cannot occur with the 7th, 8th, and 8th grade students, and it must be separate. By dismissing our 6th grade students at 2:16, it will allow us to monitor our capacity on our buses, because if you remember correctly, we can only have 49 students on a bus at a time. Lunch will be served in the cafeteria, gymnasium, or in any overflow location following the 50-person in a space guidelines. Students will switch classes as typical, but that we will need to incorporate additional cleaning protocols of desks. Parents will be asked to drop their student off between 7:50 and 7:55 when it is possible, and the students will report directly to their classrooms. Should they be eating breakfast, they can arrive at 7:40. And again, we do understand that parents may need to drop their students off at around 7:30, but when it is possible, we prefer the drop off to be closer to 7:50 or 7:55. Lockers will be assigned, but access will be limited, and students may be permitted to carry their backpacks throughout the school day. The grade 6 through grade 8 half-day in-person instruction would begin at 8:15 and would conclude prior to lunchtime. So students would need to be picked up by parents prior to lunchtime. Students in grades 6 through 8 accessing the half-day in-person program would receive math, reading, and science. Students will not receive social studies, PE, or their elective. 8th grade will also not have homeroom and may be required to begin earlier than 8:15. We're still finalizing plans as to specifically what this will look like. Students will be enrolled in regular math. Honors math will not be an option for the half-day program. Worksheets and projects that are given will be shared with each student. However, instruction will not be provided and students will not receive grades for the classes that they do not attend. Again, parents will be required to pick up their child at lunchtime prior to eating lunch, and a commitment will be required for the entire quarter. Students in grade 9 through grade 12 will be offered one option for a schedule for in-person instruction, and their school day will begin at 8 o'clock in the morning and will conclude at 1:19. Buses will be available to take students home at 1:40. Students will follow a typical schedule. The classes will be 38 minutes long. Period 4 will include a 10-minute snack break. Lunch will be offered at 1:19, which would be the end of their academic day. Students can either leave and do not need to eat lunch at school. They can attain a grab-and-go lunch as they're walking out the door, or the students can sit down and eat a lunch while they're waiting for the buses to leave at 1:40. Students will switch classes. Again, we'll have additional cleaning protocols of desks. Students can arrive at 7:45, but they will report directly to their classrooms. If eating breakfast, they can arrive at 7:30, but again, we would prefer they not arrive prior to 7:45. Lockers will be assigned, but access will be limited, and students will not dress out for PE. The grade 6 through grade 12 online option will be a completely self-paced program. The students' program will be completely online or virtual, and students will not be taught by a Wesclin faculty member, nor will they interact with Wesclin students. Students will have a daily 45-minute virtual time slot when a Wesclin remote instructor would be available to answer any questions or provide assistance. Otherwise, they would be available by email. If you choose the online instruction, students will not receive dual credit as there will not be dual credit options offered, and again, there will be no honors program option offered either. A commitment will be required for the entire semester. Wesclin School District is increasing our safety measures throughout our district. These include cloth face masks, which I have mentioned many times that all individuals in our buildings and on our school buses will be required to wear a mask that covers both their mouth and their nose. We will be also purchasing face shields for our pre-K through 3 students as well as our faculty and staff members as a second layer of protection. Our faculty and staff and administration of our elementary schools will determine when students would wear a face shield as both a second layer of protection as well as to give the students an opportunity for a mask break. We will also be increasing our cleaning areas throughout our district, and we will have additional cleaning protocols finalized in the next few weeks that we will share with everyone, but they will include increase the cleaning of high-touch areas, as well as we are investigating a machine to fog our classrooms should we have a positive case of COVID-19. We'll be reminding students of hand washing protocols as well as installing hand sanitizing stations in every one of our classrooms as well as in various locations throughout our building, as all students will be required to use hand sanitizer when they enter and leave a location. Classrooms will have less furniture in them, and we will be spacing out our chairs and our desks as much as possible, and they will all be facing forward. We will not be permitting any large gatherings, which includes assemblies, morning meetings, and we will be encouraging to have recess outside when it is possible. For the 2020-2021 school year, we will not permit field trips. Visitors again will be limited to our offices or in a conference room should it be necessary to have a meeting. However, we will be encouraging that our meetings are held either after school hours or virtually. Finally, it is a reminder that we will be required to perform symptom screenings before the students are coming to school. We are still finalizing exactly how these symptom screenings will be conducted. In addition, we are installing water bottle fillers throughout each building as our water fountains will be disabled during this period of time. And the water bottle fillers will be able to fill water bottles and they are touchless. And then the students will have water bottles with them in their classrooms. Everyone will be emailed a link to complete a family survey. This survey will need to be completed for every child that lives in your household. We will first ask you for your selection of learning option for every one of your children. First option would be the full day in-person instruction. Your second option would be the half-day in-person instruction. Your third option would be the online learning option. And the fourth option would be that you've chosen not to return your child to Wesclin School District for the 2020-2021 school year. If you choose the online learning option, please know that it may be necessary for us to prioritize the individuals who may access this option. They will be based on if the student has a documented medical condition, if members within the household have a documented condition, or if the reason they've chosen the online learning option is the fear of returning to in-person or the refusal to wear a face mask or adhere to our protocols. In addition to your learning option, you will also be asked to complete information regarding your transportation needs. Remember that no more than 49 students are allowed on a bus. You must wear masks on the bus. You will hand sanitize your hands prior to getting on the bus, and we will disinfect our buses between each run. So we will ask if you need transportation to school and or home from school. I did want to note, I do realize that the elementary school is getting out earlier than some of our junior high classes, and should it be necessary for elementary students to be supervised by their junior high child, please notate that on this survey and we will accommodate those needs. And finally, we will contact any individuals that do not respond, as we will need this survey completed by every family within our district. Regarding our next steps are some questions that still remain unanswered. First and foremost is regarding sports. We are still waiting to receive information from either the IHSA or the Illinois State Board of Education regarding what sports will look like for the 2020-2021 school year, when the seasons are going to be, who can participate. And once this information is shared, we will immediately share with our community, and we're hoping to receive this guidance within the next week or so. Again, we are asking that everybody complete the survey, and we will communicate with families regarding their survey learning requests and what that will look like specifically for their child. We are also finalizing our health information, exactly what exclusions will look like should somebody test positive for COVID-19 or close contact, which obviously includes a 14-day exclusion, but how does that affect overall our entire functions of our school? And as we finalize this information, it will be shared with you. Again, if you remember earlier, I said I will be sharing you our finalized cleaning protocols. And again, I'm continued to be here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.